Lost Art Project. Veterans Voices with Andrew Cox. Preserving history, one veteran's story at a time.
Hello, my friends, and welcome back. The Lost Art Project, Veteran Stories, with your host, Andrew Cox. That's me. Well, if you're enjoying these podcasts, then I know you need to go to the website and check it out. That's Till Valhalla That's the lostart.podbean.com. Go check us out, see what we're all about. If there's any way you can help us in getting our veteran voices out for all to hear, it would be much appreciated. Also, a big shout out to the Till Valhalla Project. They're out there doing amazing things. Be sure and go check them out on their website. Just see what they're all about. And if there's any way you can help them, please do so. You can find them at tillvalhallaproject.com.
Are you a Marine veteran? Are you missing that bond you had on active duty? Then I have a place for you. Join the only congressionally chartered Marine Corps Veteran Service Organization, the Marine Corps League. Get that brother and sisterhood back in your life. Become one of the fewer, the prouder, a Marine Corps League member.
All right, we're back here. I got Brian Hampton here. Brian, how you doing today?
I'm doing great. Thank you.
Yeah, it's awesome to have you here. I can't wait to hear your story. It should be a good time. You looking forward to it?
Yes.
All right. Well, let's start at the beginning then. Just tell me where you grew up. What was that like? And then what drew you to military service?
Well, my dad was in the Marine Corps as well. And so I was born in Jacksonville, North Carolina. We moved to Louisiana and then California when I was little. And then he went overseas, and then we went back to Louisiana. And then I got to spend 3 years in Hawaii when I was old enough to know what it was about. So it was fun.
Wow. Yeah.
You could go to the beach every day, catch coconuts, take them home, open them up. I mean, it was really a paradise there where we were living.
Yeah. Wow.
Then my dad retired after he came back from Vietnam. We went to California, and then he retired, and then we moved to Louisiana where he was from.
Oh, okay.
And so that was like 5 years before I joined the Marine Corps. Mm-hmm. And I was all set to go into like the Air Force to be honest. I was taking Army ROTC. I'd been in that for 4 years, and I had been accepted to Louisiana Tech to go to college, and I was going to go to the Air Force ROTC program to potentially be a pilot. You know, the old desire to be a pilot of every kid.
Yeah.
But things changed when I listened to my father talk about, my sister would ask for money, and he didn't really have the money, and I put two to two together. So I went down to the recruiter and talked to them, and I said, if you can guarantee me a skill like electronics or something like that, I'll join the Marine Corps. And I did the same thing for the Army as well. But I had a leaning towards the Marine Corps because my dad he was a retired Marine.
Absolutely.
So I joined and went into electronics field in 1974. I joined the day President Nixon announced that he was resigning from office.
No kidding. Wow.
I was on the airplane. He said he was going to resign tomorrow, it was the 8th. I was on the plane at like dark in the night. And then the next day he resigned.
Wow. That's pretty wild. At least you know what date it was, and you can, that's fresh in your memory on that, man. That's good.
I always know that date. So.
Very nice. All right. Well, so talk me through the rest. Like you end up going to boot camp, right?
Right. I went to boot camp in San Diego in 74 in August. About halfway through, I caught pneumonia. So I was put to the hospital. And it was weird because I wasn't at San Diego when I caught pneumonia. I was at the rifle range at Pendleton. So they sent me to Pendleton Hospital, where there weren't a lot of kids there. So it was really interesting because there was a drill instructor in there, and he was telling me about, well, don't worry about this. It's just really a game. Just, So I got out 2 weeks later, and ironically, I didn't miss a step because the next series had started. I was the first of my series, which was 2088. And I went to the last of my series, I went to the first one, 2089 of the next series that started. So, So I still went. I was 2 weeks behind, but as far as training, I didn't have to repeat anything. So that
that's awesome.
So that's spent my first Marine Corps birthday in boot camp. Graduated.
Now, what did you do to celebrate? What did you do to celebrate?
In boot camp?
Yeah.
Nothing. We shined our boots. We shined our boots and got our uniform ready for the next day. I think they gave us cake.
Oh, okay. All right. Very nice.
So
was there anything in boot camp that kind of stood out to you, or that you still hold near and dear to your heart today?
Well, I mean, if you've never been through boot camp, for civilians who've never been through, it's really a whole different world. I got there and we got off the bus. I mean, before we got off the bus, a drill instructor comes up to the bus and he says, when I give you the command to move off this bus, you will walk in a very brisk manner. You will not run, and you will put yourself in these yellow footprints. He just kind of like that.
Yeah.
And then no one did anything. I think they said, yeah, okay. And he looked down, shook his head, and he said, Hades. And he just went on to his rant and said, when I said, get off this bus, I mean, move it. And the first thing out of your mouth will be, sir. The last thing will be, sir. Do you understand? And then the windows rattled. And then he looked at us and said, you're still on my bus? And we got on the yellow footprints.
Very nice. Yeah. That's always a good welcome,
Yeah. Well, there was a long-haired guy in front of me. He was like a beach guy. He had hair down to his back. And he was looking around. He was looking at the drill instructors. And he was probably 6'1", 6'2". And this drill instructor, who was maybe 5'7", 5'8", walks up to him, smiling, and goes, well, how you doing? I saw you looking at us. And it just went downhill from there,
Oh man, I'm sure he had a heyday.
Oh, he did. Yeah, and they took him to the barber, and he says, how would you like your haircut? And he's like, oh, I just like it trimmed. He says, very good. And the drill instructor took the clippers and just went right down the middle. So
I love it.
It was, and then that night they shaved our heads. Well, I had a mustache and sideburns. They didn't shave that. So I'm walking with no hair, with his mustache and sideburns, and it's the middle of the night. You're walking by these pictures, and there's enough of reflection you can see yourself, and you're like, "Oh my God, what have I done?" And they gave us a Bic 2 razor to shave it all off.
Right.
And that wasn't fun. So, and then I'm a dependent, so I had a dependent ID card.
Right.
Well, when they went through your stuff, I had a dependent ID card. And again, it didn't go well. It's like, oh, you're lying to the government. You've got a dependent ID card. You shouldn't have this. How'd you get this? And no matter what you said, it was wrong. So, that was there. And then we finally get into bed and we go to sleep. Well, I'm so exhausted. I fell right to sleep. And then the first thing I heard was click, 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 as he flipped on all the light switches.
Right.
Came down the bay and said, get up, get up, get out of the rack. And I opened my eyes and I said, this has got to be a nightmare. This couldn't have even happened. It really seems.
Oh, man. Yeah. Man, good memories there, huh?
Yeah, that one you'll never forget. I guarantee you that.
It's true. It's true.
But,
I love it.
I was a volunteer force, so at any point I could have just said I quit. They'd have made it difficult for you, but they'd have let me quit. And I was not about to go, I quit. That was not 2 words that I was ever going to utter out of my mouth.
Yeah, I don't blame you. That's right. I like it. All right. Well, so you did your time in boot camp, and then at that point, how did it work for you? Did you go to straight to your MOS school?
Yes, I went right to 29 Palms, California, and of course there you waited again. Hurry up and wait. I learned how to rake. I learned how to rake sand, move rocks, paint rocks. Clean the barracks. I learned how to do that for a couple of months before I started my school. And then we went to electronics school. And of course, you still have PT 3 days a week. So you got to be there, go out for PT. And then you got to stay awake listening to all this boring information for 8 hours a day. Trying to stay awake. And I was making a whole $214 a month or $414 a month, $200 a payday before taxes or anything. And so we didn't have a lot of money. So we would buy sodas, but sodas got expensive. I mean, they were a whole quarter each. I mean, at that point,
that was big money back then.
It was. But then we could join the coffee nest for $2 a payday and have all the coffee you wanted.
There you go.
Big 5-gallon coffee pot makers that and just got really thick. So I got my desire for coffee from that.
Okay. Yeah. Nothing wrong with a good cup of coffee all day long.
Well, I didn't say it was good. Coffee.
Well, I guess you get what you pay for on that. Just $2 for can't complain too much on that.
No.
Oh man.
So that was
how was that the schoolhouse for you? Was it easy or
No, it wasn't. And the reason it wasn't is because I've never been diagnosed, but I believe I have attention deficit disorder. All the way through high school, I got through math and stuff because I had a very good memory. I couldn't pay attention. I never read a full book until I was in my 20s. I mean, I would read the first chapter, the middle, or the end, and then do a report and then get an F on my term paper, on my report. So I had an A or B average in English until I got my paper, and then I'd get a D for the semester. I mean, that was my trend. And that was when a D was 80-something percent. It wasn't like it is now. So you got an 80-something, not, an A was 96, So, but that was years ago. But I got through it and I did okay. I actually failed the final course in one class, and I guess someone was rooting for me because I walked into the door to see the captain. And Master Gunny was in there, and they looked at me and he says, "You're not graduating, go back to class." And that was all he said to me. I'm like,
wow.
So I went back to class and I graduated the next class. But I'll tell you, that was the best field I was ever in. I mean,
very nice.
I learned electronics was the best thing that ever happened to me. I later on got associate in electronics, and I have 2 master's degrees. I got a bachelor's in computer science. So I went on to recover from all my mistakes, and I learned how to handle my ADD. But I think that the discipline I got from boot camp and the continued discipline, although it's not the same once you get out. I mean, you have a little freedom.
Right.
I think all of that helped to make me what I ended up being later on in life.
Oh yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Now, where did you go after your schooling was done?
Well, 29 Palms had a place called Prov Maintenance that later became, I think, at first FSSG, but that was at 29 Palms. So I went right from school to Prov Maintenance Company, where they were.
Oh wow.
Where they did the fifth echelon maintenance at 29 Palms.
Okay.
And,
wow. So you got really familiar with 29 Palms then?
Oh yes. Oh yeah. And then my first job was taking the radios, which were the RT-246s, out of the tanks. I think they were M60 tanks. I had to climb into the tanks, lift up these 50-pound radios, put them over my head outside the top of the tank, get off the tank, put them on a cart, and the cart's in sand with big wheels, and pull it all the way over probably 30 feet to the asphalt to take it into the shop, and then put them on the benches and test them out.
Oh, wow.
And after they were tested out, and the ones that didn't work, we fixed. And if they weren't fixed, we'd have to do reverse and take them back and hook them back into the tanks.
Oh, geez.
And this is the middle
fun.
of the summer.
Yeah. Yeah. Middle of the summer, about 115.
Yeah, it was hot. It was hot.
Yeah, absolutely. 29 Palms is an interesting place, you know. Now, is there certain things that you did while you were out there for fun?
Usually I'd go to Joshua Tree up into the rock, just walk around, climb the rocks. I mean, in its own way, the nature's pretty out there. I mean, you live close enough to Los Angeles that you could go there on a weekend. It was a 2-hour drive. You could go to Los Angeles. You know, then airplanes were cheaper. I actually flew to a guy to Sacramento once, and he had relatives up there. So, a few different. There's enough sites in California that you could do stuff, and that was when it was a lot cheaper too. So, but I was only there for 6 months, and I got a quota to go to Iwakuni, Japan.
Oh, okay.
So,
you did 6 months total at FS. Well, what did you call it again?
I think it was FS, Forest Service Support Group. And,
okay, so you did the 6 months with them, and then you got orders to Iwakuni.
Correct.
Okay.
And flew over on a flying. I can't remember their name, but they used to do a lot of cargo, and everyone was so close together. It was like really single space, and you're crunched up. Flying Tigers, and they got the contract, and it was you could almost touch both sides of the plane. You know, it wasn't a 747. It was like a 8-seater. You know, 3 or 6. So you had 3 or 4 seats on one side, 3 or 4 on the other, and sit on plane for 12 hours to go to Anchorage, and then another whatever it is to get to Iwakuni.
That's a long time.
You open the door on the plane, and it was like someone turned the sauna on as soon as you walked out. It was hot. It was humid and hot, and it was ridiculous. And Iwakuni is right next to a crematorium, and I don't know if they've improved it, but you could smell burnt bodies all the time.
No kidding! Wow.
When it rained, the air would be so clear and clean, and then within a day, you'd see the bellowing smoke, and it's just you never forget it.
Mm-hmm.
So
that's crazy. I didn't know that.
Oh yeah, they may have cleaned it up now, but that was in 1976. So
Right.
That's been a while.
Mm. Well, when you checked in there, what were you doing?
They sent me to Hams 15, Mag 15. I think it was Ham,
Okay.
yeah, which is the air wing, but I was ground radio repair. So I was a radio technician, a radio repairman. So I went to a air wing unit, and we were the second, third echelon maintenance for that wing.
Okay. Very nice. Now, working for the wing now, were you doing like 12-hour shifts? How did that work for you guys?
Because we were at Iwakuni and Marines were getting in trouble, they made us work 5.5-day weeks. So we would get off at 5 o'clock every day, but on Saturdays we had to work until 1 o'clock. So we worked 5 days and then Saturday till 1. And it was kind of neat to have a little time because we could catch the train and go to Hiroshima. Hiroshima wasn't that far away.
Right.
And there's a lot of sites, that you can see around there. And if you're real courteous to the Japanese, they treated you well. I mean, they were friendly to, people who tried to respect their culture and respect them. If you didn't, then they treated you in kind. So,
right.
I remember I got hooked up with a Japanese banker, a couple bankers, because I volunteered to teach what they teach English speaking, just normal conversation. So I would go there a few days a week to this room. I can't remember where it was at. And you just kind of talk to them and explain to them what words are and how the conversation. Right. Well, they would take me to Japanese only functions, like, a huge picnic with not an American around. I'm 6'3", they're all 5 something. I stand there like a fourth, and I'm sitting and I'm treated like family with them.
Wow.
So that was and then they would make sure they put me on a bus and make sure they tell the bus driver where to make sure I got off at.
Wow.
So it was a really, I didn't get caught up with all the going to the bars and the, I mean, I went to the bars a couple of times, but for the most part, I was in with the cultures. I'd get out in the community and see what it was like. So,
Now, as you were doing all that in the community and everything, what was kind of your favorite things that you got to do?
I think the biggest thing was going to Hiroshima because it was a modern city, but, to see the sights and go to the museum, there's a Hiroshima museum. I mean, there are some things that are disturbing because if you listen to the American version, when you walk through, it talks about how the Americans were, without warning, dropped the bomb. I mean, there's a lot of stuff, but I think the culture of being able to see people and talk to people and learn about their, how everything is not like it is in the United States. And people think when you go to a foreign country, they're the foreigners. They're not. You're the foreigner.
Right.
And,
right.
So, but there's a lot of, like there was a McDonald's and I went there and ordered a Big Mac and it was about the size of a tiny Junior Mac. I mean,
really?
Yeah, but the price was big price on it. But I went there when the yen price was 360 yen to the dollar, so you could get anything. They'd have what they call soba truck where you'd come through and they'd get noodles and a drink. And for 100 yen, you could get a bowl of soba and a drink. And they drive on that. I mean, it was now they would 100 yen, that wouldn't even cover it because it's like it's pretty close to dollar for dollar. So that'd be like $3-4 do the same thing now.
Wow. Okay. Now, as far as your work goes while you were there, how was that for you? I mean, was it pretty good or?
I got there and I was a corporal, and
Okay.
I got there and of course low man on the totem pole because everybody in the techs were all corporals. So I ended up being the maintenance management clerk, which I didn't know anything about it. But if you know anything about computers, before we had, your personal computers, we had 80-column worksheets, and you fill out 80-column worksheets to order parts. But we had to fill one out to start the work order, one out to order the parts, one out to make a change to the report, and then one to close it. And if you did all of that in one day, sometimes reports got mixed up when they got to computer, so it would run all the changes before they added the report, and then you'd have this report that comes back that says your work orders were rejected because they were closed.
Oh.
So I got involved in that, and I took it seriously, and I cleaned it all up. In about a month, I had it all done, and I started going to one of the other units and using their key punch machine, and I started punching my own cards. And when I did that, I could get things done a lot quicker. So we had a very good reporting system. We kept our equipment up, so that was pretty nice. And then of course, when you go overseas, you always go on an operation. I ended up going to Pohang for 60 days on an operation in Pohang.
Okay.
As a tech down there. And
what'd you get to do as a tech there? Is the same type of thing, just in the field type deal? Or?
Same thing, work on radios. We'd have a tent or maintenance van. We had a small maintenance van so we could do minor stuff. Most of the time it was at our echelon, we just had to pull whatever was bad and take it to supply, and they'd give us another part, we'd put it in, and we'd move on. But there I got hooked up with, again, the culture. I would always walk to the culture areas, and I met a store owner in town on one of my trips out, and he invited me in and ended up having dinner there with his family. And I mean, the culture is, if you get involved with it, you can really learn a lot from.
Oh, yeah.
It's a whole lot different than going to a bar where there's just people drinking and dancing and all that stuff. I mean, it's a different world and culture. I mean, I tried stuff I probably would have never tried had I not done it. I ate meat. I had no idea what it was, and I wasn't about to ask. So, and
very nice. And now, how long did you spend out there?
In Korea?
Yeah.
I was there 2 months, but I was in the overseas for a year. So I went back a year later.
Okay.
And there I went to Camp Lejeune, which was interesting because I'd been there as a kid. So, and my family knew people. So I knew people who knew people there.
Right.
So I went there and was attached to 2nd Radio Battalion. And there I ended up becoming a directional finder jamming technician. So I got to go to school to work on jamming equipment and directional finding equipment. So that was interesting. I went to Fort Devens Army Base, Massachusetts. And while I was there, I met this woman who was in the Army, and we ended up getting married. And 47, almost 48 years now.
Wow, that's awesome. Congratulations on that. That's a big feat right there.
So, and then a year later, I mean, with all the wind down from Vietnam, they had a big promotion in my field. At the time, they promoted by occupational field, not MOS. So I was at 2800. So they promoted by 2800. So I got selected as a staff sergeant with 4 years in. So I ended up 4 years. So 4 years and 4 months, I put on staff sergeant. And
that's amazing.
I hardly knew how to be a sergeant. I'd been a sergeant for 2 years. I hardly knew how to be a sergeant. Now I'm a staff sergeant. So the staff CEOs who were all Vietnam vets, they didn't like me because they said I wasn't a real staff sergeant because I'm too young, wet behind the ears. And then the troops, you're one of them, you're not one of us anymore. So it was difficult for a while. So what I did was every time I got orders, I talked to the monitor about getting some place that I could be the maintenance chief.
Right.
The staff sergeant was the maintenance chief. So I got to go to a lot of different places I normally wouldn't have gone if I hadn't have done that.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Because I went from Lejeune, after I'd been there for 3 years, I went back to tech school because as you make staff sergeant, you had to go back to tech school. And I did all right in tech school. By now, I'd already kind of controlled my learning disability, knew how to compensate for it. So I got through tech school, and there was a guy who had orders for San Diego MCRD as a maintenance chief, and he didn't want to go. And he was asking around. I said, well, I'll go. I'll trade with you. Because I had orders to Camp Lejeune again. So Monitor said, okay. So I went to San Diego and became the maintenance chief at MCRD for 2 years.
Oh, very nice. Yeah. How was that being on MCRD as the maintenance chief?
It wasn't exactly what I thought it would be because we didn't have a lot of equipment. I mean, you think about it, what equipment would we have? We'd have sound systems. We'd have walkie-talkies. We didn't have backpacks. We didn't have military vehicles. So we fixed the MPs, sirens and their radios, and that's what we did there. So we didn't really, wasn't the same. I mean, it was more, I helped set up communication systems for graduations and for events. So I was more like a radio operator than I was, a maintenance chief.
Right. Wow.
So,
and you did that for 2 years there at MCRD.
I did for 2 years, and then I went back overseas again, but this time I went to Okinawa, which that actually was a really good tour for me. I went to El Mako it was in Camp Kinzer and then they sent me on a float to Korea again, and they had told me that, hey, every float that's gone, and I went as a fifth echelon, so I took 3 maintenance vans. I mean, I had the whole world, and I got to go there and. But, I always felt, I don't know if I learned to be a leader, and I learned to take responsibility and take chances. So I stepped up and became the platoon staffing CO in charge of the platoon. So I was supposed to go over on a ship, and the first sergeant said, you're doing such a great job with the platoon, I'm going to leave you back in the rear to take these people, and then I'll fly you over. So I got the ship to go. Then when I get over there, coming back, he goes, you did such a great job at the beginning. We're going to fly you up to get the crews to organize them when they get back. So so I didn't go on a ship. Both times I was supposed to go on a ship, I didn't go. So kind of interesting. But we went to Korea, and the warrant officer said the last floats had never worked on any equipment. And that's kind of the wrong thing to tell me, because I'm going to go figure out why, and fix it. Well, I didn't realize what he was telling me is that he wanted me not to fix any gear because he wanted to not have to send anyone on that floats anymore. But I wasn't so smart, I guess, because I got there and they weren't giving me equipment to work on. and they wouldn't give me a generator for my vans. So I've got 3 vans, no power, and nothing to work on.
Right.
So at this point, I've been a staff sergeant for about 6 years because they froze my field. Because I went by MOS and now I'm frozen. We're 50% gunny in my MOS. And so they weren't promoting. So I was watching all my sister MOSs, the calibrators and all these other, they were getting promoted to gunny and they were junior and I made gunny when I made staff sergeant. So they're all getting promoted to gunny and I'm staff sergeant with 7 years in gray. So I figured, what do I got to lose? So I went over to the generator guy and said, I need a generator. He says, well, we'll hook up, a couple off the power lines in Korea and we'll make you a 3rd phase. And I don't know if you know about electricity in Korea, but it's not regulated. So it's huge surges. And if you need 3 phases, it has to be exactly 3 phases. It can't be, 128 or 130. It has to be 120 at 90, out of phase of the next one. And he said, well, I'm not going to give you a generator then. So I went to the camp commander because, like I said, what do I have to lose?
Right.
I said, I need to talk to the colonel. He says, camp commander. I said, what do you need? I said, well, I just want to let you know, we're not going to give you any 5th echelon maintenance while we're here. He goes, what? I said, well, I can't get a generator for my vans. He wants to give me unregulated voltages off the lines and he would burn my vans up and I'm not going to take responsibility for burning my vans up.
Yeah.
He says, you go get that gunny and meet me at your site. I said, okay. Roger that. Went to the side, this gunny gets there from engineering. And he said, so what are you doing about his power? Well, I told him I give him power off the lines, but he said he doesn't trust the power. So we're not going to give him a dedicated generator. And the major looks at his collar and he says, last time I checked, I outrank you, gunny. You're going to get him a generator and you're going to have it here by the end of the day. So I have a dedicated generator. So,
very nice.
2 days later, he hooked up the power to the supply vans to another area like he was going to do mine. And it was purple smoke bellowing out of the van. He burned it up.
No kidding. Wow.
So I was kind of,
Yeah. It's like, I told you. I tried to tell you. You didn't listen. Yeah.
So then I got all these vans. I have no equipment to work on. And the supply was getting all these module parts and they were sending them back to Okinawa. So I went down there. I said, has anyone turned anything in? He said, yeah, I got a whole crate over here. I said, really? This Lance Corbin, I'm a staff sergeant. And I'm just being really calm. And I said, well, do you have a crowbar I can borrow? He gets me a crowbar. And I walked into the tray, opened it, grabbed a bunch of pieces, went back to my guys and said, we're going to have to fix this stuff quick because I'm going to jail. So I got about 10 pieces and we fixed 8 of them that day. And the guy goes, all right, you'll get the rest. By then, he was bringing me stuff all the time. And we worked on 200 pieces, over 200 work requests while we were up there. And we had 100% rolling stock and 100% radios working when we left Korea. And that warrant officer, the lieutenant at the time, was mad at me because
he didn't want to support it.
No. And he actually tried to hold it against me, but the major who was in charge, who was the assistant battalion commander, said, no, it's not how it's going to go.
Yeah.
So
very nice.
So that's my fun story about Okinawa, Korea.
Yeah. I love it. Well, hey, Brian, do you mind if we take just a quick break?
Sure.
Like maybe 2 or 3 minutes?
Sure.
All right. So at that point, then that was your Okinawa and Korea experience. Was there anything else that you wanted to talk about there?
Well, when I got back to Okinawa, my position I was working, they had someone else in it. So the lieutenant looks at me and he goes, I need someone to take over the radar section, which was transponders and personnel detectors.
Right.
And I said, well, sir, I'm not a radar tech. And he kind of flicks his fingers at me. He goes, you are now. So, okay. So I went over there and, awakening to realize that it's just a different frequency radio. But I got over there and they had a lot of equipment that they weren't fixing. They would try to work on it and then they'd break it and then they'd send it back to repair. Well, part of what they were doing is they weren't using troubleshooting techniques. Like, for example, we had battery chargers and they have like 3 chargers in one box. Well, they weren't working. Well, the bad thing about being a maintenance shop is somebody worked on it before you did. So people would look at it and say, oh, it's a transistor, whatever, order a new one, put it in, and then it blew. They didn't know that someone had probably put the wrong transistor in. So I had to start checking the schematics, the right part, and we found out that's exactly what had happened. So from having about 6 battery chargers that weren't working to fixing all of them within like a week.
Wow.
We had these big personnel detectors, and they were all conformal coding modularized things. And they were doing the same thing. They would put a new part on, giving it full power, and then they blew that part. So I talked to him and I said, tell me about how this works. And so we hooked power to them, but we hooked no amperage. And then turned it up. And when you saw the amperage surge, you knew there was a problem. You turned it off. So you didn't hurt anything.
Okay.
So we had like 5 of these, and they were getting ready to send them all back to the States to get them fixed because we hadn't fixed them. Well, we ended up fixing, out of 8 of them that were down, we fixed 7. And one of them we ended up semi-cannibalizing, which we were allowed to do at 5th Echelon. And we ran out of time. We had to send it back. Otherwise, we'd have fixed it too. So I pretty much put myself out of a job because they had me like 12 people, and they took 6 of them away from me because I didn't have anything for them to do.
Oh, wow.
So,
you just went ahead and fixed everything. So
yeah. So, and it was just using troubleshooting techniques. So I realized at that point, it really didn't matter what it was, as long as you pay attention, you read, and you look at the diagrams, you could usually figure it out. So from there, I went back to Quantico.
Okay.
Quantico to the comm officer school.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So I walked into the comm officer school maintenance shop, and we already had a gunny and 2 staff sergeants. They were over TO already. But I thought, oh, well, it's kind of nice here. I like it. So then one day, he was a captain. He calls me in. He goes, Staff Sergeant Hampton, I'm sending you to the basic school. I looked at him. I said, sir, what did I do wrong? And he says, no, it's not that. He says, we've got 3 staff sergeants, they have none. And we're over TO. They're under TO. So they moved me to the basic school. So I'm supposed to say that, because we called it take back a stripe. The basic school had a very bad reputation for permanent personnel.
Oh, wow.
But I thought, oh, what the hell? I've got, at this point, 8 years in grade, 7 years in grade. What are they going to do to me?
Yeah.
So I go over to the basic school, and I walk into the shop area, and there's a captain, and he has so micromanaged everything. He does everything. He signs everything.
Really?
And so I went up to him, I said, with a list, I said, sir, I need the ability to do these things. And he said, well, I do all those. I said, well, then would you call the communications officer for me? He said, sure. Picks up the phone in rotary, starts dialing. He says, what do you want me to tell him? I said, sir, get me the hell out of here. You don't need a maintenance chief. What? I said, think about it, sir. If you do it all, what do you need me for?
Yeah.
So he says, all right, I'll give you this one thing. I said, okay. So then I went in there and I looked at their records and their layout, and everything was kind of screwed up. So I took all the files out of the filing cabinet and threw them on the floor. I laid them on the floor. All the files out of the maintenance report, laid them on the floor. And then I got the 3 checks I had. And I said, now you need to set them up just like this, set the logbook up just like this, and we need to get this done fast. They're like, okay. Well, the captain walks through and he goes, oh my God, you got the rest on your list. So after that, it's like all this other stuff. You know, he just laid in my lap. Then a month later, he comes in, he goes, I've got to leave on my orders fast now. So I'm going to put you as the comm officer. I go, sir, I'm the maintenance chief. He said, would you rather me put, and he mentioned the name of a person I knew was with us. I said, no, sir, I'll do it. So I ended up being comm officer, comm chief, maintenance chief in the middle of a phase mo inspection.
Holy cow.
And so I pulled the staff sergeants in. I told them what they were going to do. I had one drill instructor who had got kicked off the OCS for dipping a cadet's head in the toilet. But
oh God,
he broke his arm too. So anyway, so I had him on uniforms. I put this other guy on something else, and so we ended up coming out really good for the inspection. So you know, that worked out real well. So that was actually a really good career. I mean, I get phase mo inspections, and my goal was to always work towards an inspection every day. Every day is an inspection. If I did that, I never had to stay extra to do that. And so we did that.
Yeah.
So every inspection came through. We never had any findings. So we did really well for that. So that was a really, you know, out of all the tours, that actually was my best tour because it did the best for my career and running the maintenance shops. And I actually went to maintenance management course, became a secondary 0411, which was nice. Run maintenance shops. And so I knew the stuff inside and out. So it was a really good career. And then when I left Quantico, I got selected for Gunny and went to a reserve unit for 3 years. Yeah. So
now where was that at?
Fresno, California. I went to light anti-aircraft missile command, land battalion. So I went to there, and you know, I always have stories, but I got there and they had a maintenance chief that didn't do anything with reservists, didn't want them to touch the equipment because they'd break it. And it was like, well, that's not the purpose of the reserve unit. So as soon as he left, I started teaching the techs and setting it up, and we actually made it be a maintenance shop. And, you know, but then we went, you know, after I'm there for like it was only about, maybe 8 months, 7 months. Well, the comm chief broke his leg. We had a 2-week trip to go to an operation with a reservist. And I ended up being the comm chief. And we didn't really have a comm officer. We didn't have a comm officer because he was a reservist. So it was kind of comes and goes. But I was the maintenance chief. And now I'm the comm chief. So now I have the detachment of the competent, which is like 35 people, reservists and everything. So we went to an operation, and they went to an Army base. I think it was, I can't remember the name of it, but anyway, it was up there north of San Diego, and it was really bad shape. And everybody else is basically in the battalion is taking it easy. But I told my guys, I said, now we need to clean these barracks up. We have to take care of them. So they said, we don't have much gear. I said, well, whatever gear you have is what we're going to use. Mm-hmm. And you have to understand, in the combatants, sergeants weren't treated like sergeants. When I first got there, the sergeants would be in one room, the corporals would be in one room, and all the E3s below would be outside doing stuff. So I walked up to some E3s that I said, what are you doing? And they said, well, we're peeing in the Jeep. They had like a rag wiping over the canvas of the Jeep. I said, okay, where's your corporal? And they told me that the corporal was at. And there's a room, there was maybe 20 corporals in there. Yeah. And I said, who is Corporal so-and-so? I said, come here. And I said, now, the rest of you, you got about 30 seconds to get your ass out of here and start supervising those lance corporals, or I'm going to have you out there PMing it, and they're going to be sitting here in the air conditioning enjoying themselves. Everybody splits. So I grabbed the corporal. I go, where's your sergeant? He said, well, he's in the front office with the gunny, and there's a reserve gunny in there. Yeah. So I went up to the front office, and I said, who's Sergeant so-and-so? He said, why? And I said, well, let me tell you, this is how it works. You better get your ass out there and start supervising those corporals or those lance corporals, or I guarantee you'll be out there peeing and stuff, and they'll be sitting around doing nothing. He said, well, who are you? I said, well, I'm the new main chief, because I never introduced myself. I'm wearing Charlie's and never introduced myself. Yeah. And I'm still a staff sergeant. Yeah. I'm a selectee, but I'm still a staff sergeant. Right. So they're like, oh, God. And then everybody leaves with the gunny. And I said, gunny, let me explain this to you. You start acting like a gunny, or I'm going to flip you on an inactive reserve so fast you won't know what hit you. Well, you can't do that. I said, try me. Try me. I've read enough about it. I guarantee you, you'll be out of here before the sun sets. So I started a new trend in that unit. But when I left, that was a really good unit. We were, we got a good maintenance chief in later. And so, a new comm chief in later. So it was, I always walked into a unit that was in bad shape. And then. Yeah.
Well, it seems like that they knew that, which is probably why you got the orders where you got them.
It could have been. I don't know. I mean, I did. Yeah. I think I did end up getting a reputation for being kind of like a fix-it guy, because they get the reports of who was the maintenance chief when what the inspection results were. So that's possible. So So then from there, I go overseas again. Okay. This time I go to 3rd Surveillance Reconnaissance Group. It was a new group they put together. And that was during first Saudi Arabia. So, because the second time I was overseas was during Grenada and during Beirut bombing. I was in Korea when that happened.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So they were sending people to Saudi Arabia, and I said, hey, I'd like to go. And Major calls me up and he says, hey, I need a good gunny to go to the Philippines because I've got a bunch of intelligent people that are just out of hand. I need you to get NCOIC. I said, sir, let me see if I can find one for you. And he said, no, you don't quite understand. I want you to go. All right, sir. So I ended up going to the Philippines, and of course they were locked down the base for a couple of months while I was there. But the first thing I did was, I get there and the captain says, well, they all call me, and I can't remember his name. It was like David or something. I go, well, you can call me by my first name. It's Gunny. Yeah. But he was first name basis. The captain was first name basis with all the troops. So
yeah,
I was going to change that. So I started making them PT. I put 2 guys on weight control. So I wasn't a very much light guy.
Yeah. But you were holding the standard.
Yeah. When I had a staff sergeant, they gave him Cinderella Liberty, and I had a staff sergeant went out in town with 2 Lance corporals, and they got caught after Liberty hour. So I restricted the 2 kids to the barracks for 2 weeks, to no Liberty for 2 weeks, and I restricted staff sergeant for a month. And then the sergeant major calls and says, hey, I heard they caught his staff sergeant. I told him what I'd done. He goes, wow, well, you think he might volunteer for shore patrol during that month? I go, I'm sure he will. Put his name on the list. So he wasn't really happy with me either. But, so I had a staff CEO that was doing the catching for a month instead of being the cop.
Wow.
The thing is, he was with 2 Lance corporals when he got caught. He was out there with his buddies, So,
holy cow.
He did that. And then they sent me back to 29 Palms.
Oh, back. Nice. Nice.
Instructor duty.
Okay.
And I said, well, I'm a gunny. Go in there. I'll be the chief instructor. I won't have to teach. This is going to be pretty cool. I already have my bachelor's degree, my associate degree, electronics, So I thought this would be pretty cool. And I get there, and there's a master sergeant sitting there. He says, oh, no, they're all gunnies. We're all teachers. All gunnies are the teachers. The master sergeant. I said, well, I don't know how to teach. He said, well, then you can get out. I said, let me have a try at that teaching thing. So
let me have a go.
Yeah. So I started teaching advanced electronics and found that I really liked teaching. And I did that for 2 years, teaching the advanced course for electronics.
Mm-hmm.
So, and I was really good at it. So I enjoyed that. But then the 8 months after I was there, my son got hit by a car in 29 Palms, killed. So I kind of lost my desire to be in 29 Palms, but I stayed there. I got selected for Master Sergeant. And remember, I told you all those people that passed me over, that got promoted when I didn't? Well, they got passed over for Master Sergeant, and I got selected. I was 2 people in the zone when I got selected. So I was at the bottom of the zone. But I ended up getting Master Sergeant. So there was a billet that opened up in Fort Huachuca, Arizona, Army base. Command, Joint Command. And I ended up being the electronic maintenance chief for the Joint Interoperated Testing Center, which is a submarine. So I did that and ran that for 2 years. Now,
how did you like that?
Well, every time I walk into a place, there's always something, right? So I get there and I replaced a master gunny who had made this just be drink coffee, come to work every day. He didn't do anything. His big deal was getting the mileage off the GSA vehicles. And I said, no, I'm not doing that. So he had a group of, there were like 12 contractors that did repair, and they did it in pockets all over the thing. So I convinced the GS-15, I said, we could group them all together, do some of our own maintenance, put them in the same shop. And when these people aren't doing anything, they can work on other equipment. Well, he thought it was a good idea. And I took all the people that were under different groups, and they all fell under me within 6 months that were all working in my group. And we had a joint facility, and we saved them hundreds of thousands of dollars just in the
Wow.
first 6 to 8 months we were doing it.
Hmm.
Because they were working on their own equipment, just sending it out to somebody else.
Right. Yeah.
So
Huh.
I did that for 2 years. I was working for an Army officer, which was interesting. I had a lieutenant colonel, Marine lieutenant colonel, who was the deputy to the 15, and then a couple of civilians. So I had no real military working for me, although there were Marines around there. But I was the senior Marine enlisted on base, and the senior Marine officer was a colonel, and he worked over another area, and I'd see him pretty much every day. We'd walk around and see all the Marines that were around the area.
Right.
So it was a really good tour. I enjoyed that tour, even though it was in Arizona. So
Now,
then I retired.
Fort Huachuca, it's out in the desert as well, right?
It's in the desert. It's southeast of Tucson, about 70 miles south.
Okay.
It's in Sierra Vista, which is quite a ways south. It's probably about 50 miles from from Tucson, not Tucson. Where was OK Corral was at? What was that at?
Tombstone?
Tombstone. Yeah. So it's about 40 minutes from Tombstone and about 70 minutes for Tucson. So, it was, you had to go a ways to do anything, but there was quite a bit of things around there.
Yeah. Ah, that's pretty cool. And you'd say you enjoyed that duty pretty well?
I did, and her mom actually and brother-in-law, my brother-in-law lived in Tucson at the time, so we would go to them on weekends and stuff and do stuff with those. So it was kind of neat, and especially since my oldest had been killed. Now my mother-in-law could see our other two kids, and we could spend time with them and stuff. So that was kind of nice.
Okay.
So seeing the sights, and then I retired out of there.
Oh, that's where you retired.
Yep, I retired out of Fort
Okay.
Huachuca. So I ended up with 21 years.
21 years, Master Sergeant, retiring at Fort Huachuca.
Correct.
Okay. Now, would you say overall, you say you have you enjoyed your career overall?
Oh yeah, I'd do it again. I think the only thing I might have done different is got my degree sooner. I probably would have tried to become an officer. I applied warrant officer, but in the warrant officer field, they picked one in my field every year. And so it's very competitive. Wow. I knew people that saw my name come across and a couple times said I was like number 2. But, if you're number 2 and you pick one, then, But I retired as a master sergeant. I made it in like 17 years. So that's not bad. I mean,
yeah, absolutely. That's good. Wow. I love it. Well, what did you do after? Like, what was your, what did you end up doing?
Well, after I got out, I started working as a contractor for the Air Force doing senior systems analyst. Basically, I wrote documents and PowerPoint presentations, presented presentation. And then I did training. I did training for capability maturity model, basically change management. And then I hooked up with this guy who didn't want to teach college anymore, and he got my foot in the door teaching community college. So while I was working full time, I started teaching community colleges, and I ended up teaching for 3 of them for about 20 years. So working full time and teaching classes at night. So
now these are classes like in classroom type of thing, or
I had students on campus. So I was teaching intro to computers and applications, teaching information security. I was teaching math and basically with elementary algebra. I would be teaching the intro courses for math. It was fun. I did that, and then I got a job working for quality assurance for the FAA, then later got a government job with the FAA, and I ended up doing information security with them for about going on 12 years. And then I got a senior manager position where I ended up running their data center, their network, their PC support, their services for cell services, and multimedia, which was like, they did all of the W-2s. They sent them out from there. And
right.
So I did that and then retired in 2019 from
Okay. So when was it that you got involved with the Marine Corps League?
When I retired, I left Oklahoma. I was in Oklahoma City. So when I retired, I wanted to get away from tornadoes and ice storms. So I moved down here. Well, it's true. We had to get our roof replaced 4 times in the 20 years we lived there. And one time was pretty much a direct hit across our roof. And that was, pretty scary.
Yeah.
Glad to get out of there. And so I joined in 2020 because I wanted to do something to give back. I mean, I'm, financially, I'm comfortable. I can do pretty much whatever I want to do. And it gave me an opportunity that I could join an organization that gives back to people and looks after other Marines. I went to the VFW and was not impressed. It seemed like it was just a bunch of guys that sat around and drank all the time. And then they have a meeting. And I'm like, you know what? That's not what I want. So I ended up joining the Marine Corps League, and then a year after I was with them, they made me the commandant for the detachment. So I did that for 3 years. So I stepped down last year after 3.5 years, and someone else took over.
Okay. Wow. 3.5 years as a commandant. That's quite a bit, isn't it?
It is. The intent was to go 2. But then the bylaws, they said they weren't clear. They should have been allowing me to do 3. So they changed the bylaws. So I ended up doing 3. And then they said, well, our election is in April. It really should be in October. So we're going to change the bylaws. So I got to go from April to October. So it ended up being 3 years and 6 months.
Wow.
Yeah. And like everything else,
cool.
I try to leave it better than what I got it. So.
Yeah, that seems to be the trend. So,
yeah. Well, if you're going to do something, do it right or don't do it. I mean, that's my logic.
You're not wrong there. That's for sure. But all right, hey Brian, thanks for coming on and doing this. Now, toward the end, I always have some questions that I ask everybody. So, if you're ready, I can start asking you these questions.
Shoot.
All right. What is your proudest military moment?
I think being with my dad and letting him see me as a gunny. I saw him just before he died. It was 3 months before he died. This was in 94. For him, actually saw him as a master sergeant, excuse me. So that was my proudest moment, to have my dad see me as a master sergeant.
Very cool. I love it. Now, you said, what was your rank that your dad made it to?
He made it to gunnery sergeant, but you have to understand he was in the Army Air Corps for 4 years. He was in the war during World War II. He was in a German prison camp. Then he joined the Marine Corps Reserve, got activated in Korea, and then he went active to the Marine Corps. And every time he went active, he lost his stripe and had to earn it back. He ended up as a gunnery sergeant, after about 24 years total.
Yeah,
but
that's pretty good.
So World War II, Korea, and Vietnam.
Wow. And he was a POW.
And he was a POW in World War II.
Wow.
Escaped
That's
twice.
incredible. No kidding.
Yeah.
Man, that's a good story on its own. We'll have to have you back on the podcast to talk about that.
I'd love to. And when you do, I'll get some of the documents so I can give you the kind of dates.
Yeah. Yeah. That'd be awesome. All right. What is your most embarrassing military moment?
My embarrassed military moment. I don't know. I was really proud to be in the Marine Corps. You know, the most embarrassing was the Marine Corps ball. I wasn't feeling good, and I actually passed out as a master sergeant in the escort.
Oh, wow.
Because we've been
it's an escort, yeah.
And we had a code talker speaker, and we were standing there while he was speaking, and he made a comment that had a little bit too much to drink, and I hadn't had anything to drink. So that was probably my most. But I'd had a cold, and I wasn't feeling very well. So yeah. So that was my most embarrassing moment.
Okay. All right. Let's see here. In the zombie apocalypse, what would be your weapon of choice, and what anthem would be playing?
I'd play the Marines hymn. That's always a good one. Weapon of choice, I would probably have a couple. I'd have myself, I forgot the name of it. It's a new one that came out. It's like a small M16, lighter carry.
Yeah, the AR-15.
Well, the AR-15 is the civilian version, but there was a military version they take on recon units like a M4.
The M4? Is that what it is?
I can't remember. Sure, but it's a smaller version. It looks like a smaller one, but it had, you can carry lots of weapons. It's not real heavy, lots of ammo. Yeah. And, it wouldn't hurt to have a couple grenades with you.
Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah, grenades are important.
Oh, yeah.
All right. What animal best describes your time in service?
Oh, that's a hard one. That's a hard one. I was probably a bulldog at times. If you think about bulldogs, sometimes they're gentle and you can pet them and they're okay. But other times, they just didn't take stuff from anybody, and they just, not afraid to say what was on your mind. Sometimes,
right.
Yeah, you have to be willing to suffer the consequences. But yeah, probably a bulldog.
All right, I like that. All right. You already said this, but knowing what you know now, would you do it all over again? And you said the answer was
absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. I wouldn't be the person I am. I wouldn't be able to accomplish the things I accomplished had I not been the Marine Corps. The Marine Corps molded me. I was strong because I did pup with my dad, so I had a lot of muscles when I joined the military. But I had no confidence. I had no real, I really didn't have discipline. It was fear more than anything else.
Right.
And I think that's what it gave me. Yeah.
I love it. All right. Well, what kinds of words of wisdom would you have for the listeners?
Well, what I would say is if anyone who does want to join the military, understand that you only get out what you put in. If you're willing to work hard and achieve, then you can achieve anything in the military. If you don't, then it won't be a very successful career.
Yeah. It's a good point. All right. Well, thanks for coming on and doing this. It's much appreciated. I enjoyed myself. I enjoyed hearing all your stories. It was good. Thanks for what you did.
Thank you.
You paved the way for me. All right. Well, I always end each podcast with talking about how veteran suicide and how people can get help with that. So I'll go ahead and do it. But don't hang up on me at the end. I'll bring you back in after the outro. Okay. But to all the listeners out there, if you're struggling, need help, anything like that, don't forget the VA has some great resources. You can always dial 988, press option 1. You can always text 838-255, or you can go to veteranscrisisline.net, click on the chat icon. Any of those options will put you in contact with somebody that can help you out. But remember, one veteran life loss is one too many. I care about you. I know this guy here cares about you. The whole veteran community cares about you. So please reach out for help. And if you're out there, you're not struggling, reach out to the buddies you served with. Ask them how they're doing. If they need that helping hand, please give it to them. All right, one last time, thank you very much. To all the listeners out there, stay motivated. Change your socks.
Thanks for tuning in. Don't forget, there are 5 episodes a week, Monday through Friday. Be sure to tune in.